symbols of the world, admitting that they know that the snake is a worldwide symbol of Satan. This is a picture of a snake involved in a voodoo religious ceremony. There's a woman bent back on her, she's on her feet, and those are her knees pointing. Maybe you can't see that, but in the middle of her body is a snake being held in either of her two hands. The snake goes across her midsection. The article says that the woman sacrificed a child to the snake. This is a picture of the sacred cobra from a Buddhist temple in Ceylon. The book that showed the picture said that the cobra was the symbol of eternal wisdom. You might remember that Cleopatra, the woman they write movies about from the past, decided to commit suicide by allowing a snake to bite her. She lived in a country that believed in the snake as a god. She might have decided to allow a poisonous snake to bite her so that she could become illuminated as part of her religion. This is an article in Trade magazine that appeared on February the 3rd, 1991, that reports in the left-hand side under the yellow that former Senator Barry Goldwater had the image of a snake tattooed on his left hand. The article did not say why that was, but it is known that Barry Goldwater is a 33rd degree Mason. I wonder if that has something to do with that. This is a book written by Peter Tompkins entitled Mysteries of the Mexican Pyramids. I'm going to take a close-up of the snake at the center because under the pink arrow is an enormous head of the snake, and it shows its head is open, its mouth is open, implying that it is speaking to the people. It was found at the ruins of Chichen Itza, Mexico. The pyramid in the back is dedicated to the god known as Quetzalcoatl, and I'll discuss that god in a few minutes. Chichen Itza is in the Yucatan, south of Mexico in Latin America, on the Gulf of Mexico. You'll see it right in the middle of this map, the two words Chichen Itza. At Chichen Itza, the Temple of the East has a great many repeats of a huge sunburst. From the middle of the sunburst is a head of a serpent, a huge head of a serpent. The sun represents God, and the serpent his divine wisdom. And so one of the temples of the sun god worldwide is a pyramid. This is a slide of one of those temples to the sun god in Mexico. Notice that its top is flat, and as we are going to see, all pyramids on the earth are flat on top, and there is a reason that that is true. I'll try to explain that reason for you a little later. The obvious question is to answer is, why would people build a pyramid anywhere? And I think the obvious answer is for the people physically to get closer to the sun god. This is a book entitled The Two Babylons, written by Reverend Alexander Hislop, a Christian minister. He wrote about the sun god worship, and this is what he said. Along with the sun as the great fire god, and in due time identified with him, was the serpent worshipped. In the mythology of the primitive world, the serpent is universally the symbol of the sun. In Egypt, one of the commonest symbols of the sun, or sun god, is a disc with a serpent around it. You might remember this picture that Rex Hudson showed us in his book entitled A Bridge to Light. It showed a snake around the oblong-shaped circle, and here we see the close association of the serpent god and the sun. This slide illustrates the point. The two red arrows point to two sculptures of the feathered serpent god, Quetzalcoatl, and they show two serpents protruding from a symbol of the sun. Those rock figures are on a wall of a temple to the sun god Quetzalcoatl in a Mayan village in Latin America. The green arrow points to a stone portrait of my former mother-in-law, and I don't know how that picture or that statue got down there. We will continue to see that association as we continue this lecture. This is a National Geographic's picture of an Egyptian relief painting, apparently on a wall dug into the rock, showing Ramses II seated on the right, making an offering to Ra, the sun god. The cobra in the middle is kind of broad-chested cobra with its head looking to the left, is wearing a tall crown signifying his kingship over the southern kingdom of Egypt. This is a picture of a sacred cobra shown at about 1 o'clock, crowned with a sun disk. Here it's slightly covered with blue, and above his head is a sun disk. Amun is seated inside a mountain with a crowned cobra outside, and Amun also has a round sun disk on his head. This is another royal portrait of an Egyptian pharaoh, this time Senofru. He is shown seated on his throne with the basket in front of him, up a little bit higher, about 2 o'clock. On top of the basket is a coiled serpent, showing that Senofru was in the presence of the Serpent of Wisdom. This is a picture of a building called Snake Temple in Vietnam. Notice the 2 snakes on either side of the walkway into the temple area. So building temples with snakes around them or in them is not confined to just one part of the world. It is not a local practice. It is worldwide, and we will continue our discussion of the snake and religious worship worldwide in the next session.